Hey Jeff, how you doing, brother?
Hi, Dave Lawrence, brother. How are you? That's the question.
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for asking. And
And thank you so much for doing this, by the way.
oh, you're so welcome. Huge fan. And can you hear me okay? Do I need to make it louder, softer, forward, backward, sideways? What can I do?
Seems perfect to me.
You're the man. I love that talk. Well, first and foremost, big mahalo for doing this, being our guest on HPR, Hawaii Public Radio. You a fan of public radio, by the way?
Yes, I am. I listen a lot frequently. Yeah, I love it.
We dig that. So, for the many folks who are tuned in this afternoon to the show, Jeff, and big fans, obviously, or at least hugely aware of your catalog of acting work, and some might be aware of your significant musical talents, but I'm going to guess there are quite a few people joining us who are not that familiar with the music and would love to hear about it. And if you could detail the ensemble as to who's coming with you to join you at the Blue Note for these gigs, and also the kinds of stuff you're going to be doing in addition to your Capitol Studios Sessions album.
Yeah. Well, let's see. First of all, I'm so proud of the guys with whom I play and the women with whom I play. Let's see who's coming. Well, who's coming to Hawaii is, I think, James King on saxophone,
Mm.
or possibly Scott Gilman. They're both in the band right now, and I'm not sure who's coming to Hawaii with us, but certainly Kenny Elliott on the on the drums, and Alex Frank, our great bass player, John Story, our wonderful guitar player, and Joe Bagg, who's a terrific organ player, and Gina Saputo will be singing with us, who's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, that's the. Oh wait, no, I do know it is James King. James King is coming, and he's one of the stars of Fits and the Tantrums too. He plays saxophone in that band and a couple of instruments in that band. That's our band. That's our Hawaii band. We're looking forward to it. We're bringing the family. I'm bringing my wife and two kids. I got a 3.5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old boy, two boys, and James King is bringing his wife and son Julian, and then Joe Bagg is actually married to Gina Saputo, and they're bringing their daughter Hazel. So it's going to be a Hawaiian vacation and musicale for us.
Kind of like Sly Stone, it is a family affair on this one, for sure.
It's a family affair.
And so the another cool thing about the show, and it kind of lends itself to talking to you now, is you do some taking questions and trivia. I read, or fill us in on that unusual aspect.
It's unusual, I think. Well, every week, every time we do it, it's different, and it's a surprise for me. We had John Mastro is the band sort of director and chaperone and facilitator in many ways. And he writes things down that in between our jazz songs, he gives to me, and I cold read whatever he's given to me, and sometimes they're inducements. They're a blueprint for how I can play a little game or quiz or do some trivia with the audience, but it's also a surprise for me. So I don't prepare anything except my view of things, such as it is, sometimes imbecilic. But we have fun. People seem to like it. And yes, I take questions, and what it is that I come sort of with a full appetite of interest in who it is who's come to see us, and I kind of oftentimes just enjoy making a connection with them, and sometimes taking pictures with them and that kind of stuff.
It's going to be really special. I can just tell you, you have a great personality, and it's remarkable how much it just comes through in stuff. You were this record, and as a note about the kind of jams that brother Jeff is going to be pulling out at this thing, his record that he has with the Mildred Schnitzer Orchestra has some Herbie Hancock, Marvin Gaye, Nat King Cole. You look at the lineup of artists that you've got on this, and are there any stories from when you were laying that down at that legendary facility that come to mind?
Well, my gosh, we played in the Capitol Records building. That, like you say, legendary facility. It was amazing, and that building was built. I learned from the prophets of the success of Nat King Cole, in fact. And yeah, we play something that he did, and it was just amazing to do that. But we had a great producer on that album, Larry Klein. And he suggested a couple of things. He had worked with Herbie Hancock, in fact, and that's how that came about. That he suggested we do Cantaloupe Island, and the Marvin Gaye song was new to us that he sort of suggested, and so we just we just had a creative little workshop of it and came up with our bouquet of songs.
And in those studios where like Frank Sinatra, so many cats had done their bit in those rooms. It's a little epic being in a place like that.
Oh, you're telling me? And the Beatles were there, and the Rolling Stones, and many jazz giants. Yeah, it was incredible being there. Really, it was a thrill to be there. But we had a live audience when we did it, and it's sort of, we tried to recreate what we do at these live shows. And I'll be darned if it didn't feel like that. Just a kind of a fun hangout, and but serious jazz, jazz jam.
It's a good description of it. Serious hangout and jazz jam. Explain the name of the band, which I was trying to find the connection to for the, again, it's Jeff Goldblum, who you know from Independence Day and The Fly and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, so many things. And he's bringing the Mildred Schnitzer Orchestra to the Blue Note for a pair of shows, April 27th and 28th, 6:30 and 9 each night. What's the name? What's that all about, Jeff?
The Mildred Schnitzer Orchestra. Well, we'd been playing a couple of years. About 30 years ago, I started this thing, and we were playing out and about, but just kind of under the radar, just for my own enjoyment. I never was particularly careerist about the whole thing, and I'm still not. It's still just kind of an outcropping of a passion and part of the fun part of my life. And a couple of years into it, we had an invitation to play at the Hollywood Bowl doing the Playboy Jazz Festival. And it was the first time anybody required us to be in a program. So they said, what are you going to call yourselves? And I thought for a moment, really, and then this name of a friend of the family's, mostly my mom in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, whose name was Mildred Schnitzer, came to me. And I thought, well, I like that name. That could be a funny name for we're not really an orchestra, but I'll call it the Mildred Schnitzer Orchestra, and it's stuck ever since then, and that's what we still call ourselves.
And when it comes to your acting side, can I ask you a question or two about that? Do you have time for that? Or
you sure can, whatever you want.
Okay, cool. My intro to you, I was 7 years old, 1978, film remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland. Do you have any special memories, any unique memories about working on that set or doing that film?
I loved that movie. 1978. We went up to San Francisco. Michael Chapman shot it, who had done Raging Bull, wonderful cinematographer. Phil Kaufman is a great director and became kind of a brother and family member. I just adored him, and I had done a little part in The Right Stuff too, or did it after that. But I worked in a couple of his movies, and then Veronica Cartwright, who played the young girl in The Birds, Hitchcock's The Birds, if you remember, was my wife in it, and it was a great cast. And then Leonard Nimoy was in it, and we were all there up in San Francisco and working on this thing, and it was really fun. I thought it was smart, and I liked the way it came out too.
When you were doing stuff like that, did your musical passions ever come up on the set? Like, did you ever talk music with folks doing that? Or I guess I was also looking at your film debut when you worked in '74 in Death Wish with Charles Bronson. I always thought he had a big love for jazz. Did you ever get to talk music with some of these kinds of cats?
Oh, I wish I had. No, I only had a small part. Was on the set for a few days in Death Wish, and Charles Bronson, he was nice to me, but it was my first job. I was very hepped up about acting, and I think I wanted them to think I sort of had an idea about methody kind of acting, and I think I wanted them to think that I was one of the real guys from the street and a kind of a dangerous dude. I played a bad guy who menaced his wife and daughter. So it was more like that for a few days. And then, no, Donald Sutherland and Phil Kaufman, I'm sure they're jazz fans, but no, I don't remember talking about it at the time. It was different in those days, too. Nowadays, when I meet somebody or I'm going to work with somebody, I look them up on Wikipedia or IMDb so I can say, hey, I've enjoyed you in this movie, and let's talk about that, and I have some questions about that. But in those days, I kind of didn't do it. So many subjects, not only jazz, but there are other things that passed by that now I wish I'd remembered and known to ask them about that, because I'm curious about other people,
That's funny. I mean, I don't know if music came up on this one, but you're our second guest that I know of who has had the really unusual distinction of working alongside Snuffleupagus on Sesame Street.
Oh, Well, I sang a song on that. I did that. I did one show. Yes, Snuffleupagus was there. He was wonderful. I think I met Big Bird. Oh, boy, I was starstruck with those guys and everybody else on that show. And, yes, I sang a song, as I remember, with Bob. I was his long-lost brother, and I sang a song about how we were brothers, but we were very different.
Right.
We were in the same family. I was kind of an adventurer. I dressed like Indiana Jones, and he was like a stay-at-home, domesticated kind of guy, but we loved each other like brothers.
Did you do the scenes for Jurassic Park here?
You know, I did two of those movies. The first two, we did 2 weeks exteriors in Kauai, on the island of Kauai, and had a great time there, of course, until the hurricane hit Aniki in the first one, which came at the end of our shooting and was tragic, really devastated the island. I think 4 people died. We all huddled up in a ballroom underneath the hotel where we were staying and sort of, hunkered down through the night and made it out. But we had a great time in Hawaii. I've been back many times before and since to almost every island, I think. I'm crazy about it. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And Steven Spielberg likes to talk about music. He always, I usually say, hey, what's the score to the movie going to be, if you know, and because that helps me. And he said, oh, yes, I think it's going to be something like this. And he would take to whistling because he plays a clarinet, as a matter of fact, as a side activity. And but he's very musical, and we talked about that. And then the rest of those 2 movies we shot here in Los Angeles on the Universal Sound stages. And then this last one I had a part in, the Fallen Kingdom Jurassic World movie, and we all shot it in London. I shot my day in London, but I think the whole cast came and shot a bunch of it in Hawaii, of course.
At one of these parks here, they have a giant dinosaur footprint that they like to show to people. It's like this thing. It's like a 20-foot long big little souvenir from it. Final movie question, and then we'll wrap it up with you. Independence Day, huge 1996 film. For a lot of people, had relevance because the UFO phenomenon was just starting to be something people would talk about. And that film kind of weaved into the plot that Roswell incident and all-star cast too. And you guys work so well together in that. Do you personally believe that Roswell story, or that the government ever recovered any alien spacecraft, that kind of thing?
I've looked into it. From my research and from what I gather, I'm no expert. There are people who have devoted their whole lives to such things. Principally, Carl Sagan is one of the people I most admired, and there are other scientists who really deal with the facts, the evidence, and from what I can tell, no, that's all made up and baloney.
That's what I figured.
Fun for a fantasy. Yeah, but no such place, no such contact was made. There's never been any real evidence that anybody's ever visited here or walks among us whatsoever.
And then on that note, but back to the music. One of the cool things I guess I liked in that film was the relationship you had with Judd Hirsch, and he played your dad. And I mean, it just seemed so real when you watched it. You couldn't even believe, the connection that you guys have. Did you ever share music, or did that become a bigger relationship with him?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been pals with him for a long time. I've known him for a while, but I love doing those movies. Not least of which was getting to know him better and pretending to be his son. It was just a big thrill for me. He's wonderful and spectacularly talented, and still going strong. He's working now and loves music. Has an incredible voice and set of pipes himself, indefatigable and very powerful. He's just great. I adore him.
What's next for you?
Well, let me see. Many things. My plate seems to be full to bursting. Not only am I busy at home with these kids, and we may do some more recording, in fact, and we've been out and about in support of this record. We played in Berlin and Paris and London, and then New York and Chicago, and my hometown of Pittsburgh. And we keep playing here and working up. We're kind of in a growth spurt of working up new material, and it looks like we might record some more. Keep that under your hat. But in the meantime, I'm doing this documentary series for the National Geographic in which there are 12 episodes, and in every episode I deal with another phenomenon or object or some aspect of our lives that when we investigate the science around it, it may reveal some interesting things about our human nature and other things, all through my, my particular sensibility and viewpoint and chain of interests. So I'm doing that, and in fact, while I'm there, we may be doing a little shooting for that. So it's a dual work trip and a vacation. My family, like I say, is going to be there. We're going to love playing these gigs. And then I do a little filming for the Nat Geo show. And besides that, I have this movie that was just at the Venice Film Festival and the Sundance Film Festival and is premiering in this part of the world in the summer. It's a movie called The Mountain, which I really like. It's an unusual and artful story about lobotomy and hermaphrodites and many provocative things.
Lobotomy, did you say?
Ty Sheridan is in it. Yes, lobotomy. I play a guy based on the real life character who pioneered lobotomy in America in the 40s and 50s. Yeah.
Heavy duty stuff.
It's interesting.
It's an eclectic plate.
I know.
Jeff Goldblum, and I wouldn't expect anything different, but who could have predicted those sort of projects he's got? The Mildred Schnitzer Orchestra, April 27th and 28th, 6:30 and 9 at the Blue Note. And I hope you had fun today. Was this okay? Keep you remotely interested?
I was wildly interested. You're fascinating. This was a blast. And now my appetite is even more inflamed for getting there and seeing everybody who comes our way and playing music for them. Aloha. Hey, it's Jeff Goldblum here. And I'm here on HPR to ask you particularly to become a member today, if you will. Hey, maybe you heard me on All Things Considered with my good pal and brother Dave Lawrence, the great Dave Lawrence. Hey, and if you remember having heard me on that means, I think, that you're really a full-fledged listener. And I think maybe you'd like to make a pledge right this minute. What do you think of that? And for your support, I just want to say my wholehearted thank you. And I think mahalo is in order also. Mahalo to you.
You're the man. I'm giving you a high five. I hope I get to say hi to you at the show. If you do in-person stuff, I'll reach out to your people. If not, I get it. You're busy. You got a whole pack of people coming with you. But God bless you, brother. You did a great interview, and you're a lot of fun and a good sport. I really appreciate it.
You're fantastic, Dave. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you're there, tap me on the shoulder. I'll say hi.
All right. You're the man. Be safe, Jeff. God bless.
Thanks. Be well. Thanks,
Bye.
Man.